Look, I really want to hear from General Milley on this. What we have now is leaked excerpts, but I can talk in theory here. If there was a real concern about, some kind of flashpoint between China and the United States, then a back-channel communication is not a bad thing. However, I got to be honest with you. The idea that China was scared that Donald Trump was going to launch a nuclear weapon, or that, there was all this fear, General Milley could easily have set up, as supposedly he did, hey, we're not going to launch nukes in an immoral kind of war. But I got to tell you, truthfully, what the Chinese, and I think the Russians, frankly, thought of Donald Trump was not that he was a loose cannon that was going to launch nukes everywhere, but that the guy was actually scared to take action anywhere. And that's what you saw in China's expansion, Russia's expansion, et cetera. But I do think it is important now, since General Milley is still in the position he is, for us to get a full accounting of what happened, because I think it's inappropriate for the general to have unilaterally called China unless there was a real fear, in which case we deserve to know what that was as well. Let's keep in mind that was one of the weaker strikes against Syria. It didn't really have an effect at all, except more kind of psychological for us, not even against Syria. Look, I mean, this is why I think we need more answers to this. Like I said, if this was an appropriate thing for the general to do, and maybe it was, that means there was some real deep concern. But otherwise, you don't reach out and call our enemies like this. And so, look, the bottom line is January 6th was an awful day. January 6th put us in a very weak position, which is why I called for the 25th Amendment to be executed immediately, because I thought for a couple weeks we basically felt like we didn't have a commander-in-chief. But we have to be really, really concerned with maintaining the civilian control over the military, and that's why we need more answers, I think. And again, this is why I said I think the 25th Amendment needs put into effect here, not as some kind of payback for January 6th, but because during that 2-week period between inauguration and from January 6th, it really felt like we didn't have a leader at the head. And if all you have to do is look at, Donald Trump praising General Lee today and saying he would have won Afghanistan. Donald Trump excited, in essence, that we failed in Afghanistan because he can now point and say, he didn't do that, even though we all know he really led to the setup of what happened in Afghanistan. Look, I gotta just say, the American people deserve way better than what they've had. Joe Biden's a decent man. I fully think he failed and botched the Afghanistan withdrawal. Donald Trump set that up. And we're stuck in this matrix of belief that we only have, if we don't like Joe Biden, we gotta go with Donald Trump. No, the American people deserve so much better. We're an amazing country. I guess if I had the answer on how to reverse it, I probably would have implemented it. I think here's part of the problem. After January 6th, after this whole big lie stuff, people were looking for leadership out of D.C. And when all of the people, if you're a base Republican voter and all the people you trust are quiet and go along with the big lie, or at least acquiesce to it, you have no reason to believe otherwise. And so when it basically ends up with me, Liz Cheney, and a few others out there saying the election wasn't stolen, I guess we can be happy that a quarter or a third of Republicans don't, but I don't know the answer besides come out and keep saying, ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump lost not because the election was stolen, but because he ran an election focused on firing up only the most extreme elements of the Republican Party, and he turned off the swing voters that typically used to vote Republican, including those in the suburbs near where I live that have been Republicans their entire life that would never consider themselves Republicans today, not because they've changed, but because you've changed.